Hey guys, welcome back to Daily Love with Mill Hollow. I am your host, Mill himself, and today we are going to be talking about social anxieties. And we all know how stressful they can be. Trust me, I know. So yes, anyways, relax, get comfy, because we are going to dive right in. Alright. So I can say from my past experiences that social anxiety often plays a huge part in why people are not always comfortable being in crowds. And I know that I've had that situation where if I'm in a huge crowd, I don't have it doesn't always trigger the anxiety, but when I'm being crowded by people, like when they're crowding specifically me, I'll feel socially anxious. And that's normal. It's normal to feel socially anxious. It's normal to feel norm It's normal to feel socially anxious in those situations. So next time you're like out in public, I would say just try to be calm and don't focus on the people. Like if you have social anxiety and you have like, let's say you enter a panic attack when you're crowded by people, just don't let that bother you. I know that some people like attention, some people don't. The best goal is just to avoid people in general, which I think most people have a good job at. Do great. I'm not a therapist. Everybody knows this, but I know for a fact how I deal with it is I get help. I do not stand around and let them crowd me because that just makes it worse. Definitely. There's no way of going about it without it making it worse when you're crowding somebody, because that's just going to make it worse. And plus, I think it's just a good thing to point out that you shouldn't crowd around anybody in the first place, because people will have things like social anxiety that we don't know about, and sometimes it can trigger that, and we won't know it. But it'll suck for them. It would suck. And going back to depression, I think we should touch on this a bit because social anxiety and everything touches back to mental health, which is sort of tied to depression. People with depression have mental health issues, I would say, because they need to get support so they can get better. But in a social situation, try to push yourself. And I'm not saying this to be like, oh, you need to make friends now and get better, because it's always okay to have that one friend in your group that you can hang out with and talk to when you feel stressed. But other than that, I would say like try to talk to people about what you would do in that situation. Like think it through, be like come with a plan or something, or somebody you can go to in that situation and talk to them about it. Don't just let it fester, kind of like this with sadness, don't let it fester. That's always a bad thing. Holding it in is never going to help. So just find someone that you can talk to, you can let out the emotions and go from there. Um I would say that with social anxiety, it can also happen in like environments like school. Like let's say for me, I don't have very many friends at school. I'll be honest. I only have Caden really, and he's there for me when he can be. But I mean, I'd say other than that, it's pretty easy to just get through the day. Like he's always there for me when I do get socially anxious, but for the most part, I don't get socially anxious. So socially anxious. Yeah, for the most part, I don't get socially anxious. So I wouldn't say that's a big problem for me. It could be for you, and in which case I would definitely look more into that and what to do when in that situation. But for me, I've kind of just gotten over it. But then again, I don't have people crowding around me all the time, so um but just yeah, knowing that you have social anxiety, and one way to like identify that is just that you don't like being around groups of people. Like, you don't like having a bunch of attention on you all the time. And I'm sure that's just one variant of social anxiety, but That is one example I can think of that I have. I don't like being crowded by people personally, and I feel like that's fine. Your comfort levels are your comfort levels. It shouldn't have to be doing something just because everybody else feels comfortable. But for me, that's what I have to do. So that kind of gets to the point of, all right, if someone's crowding around me, I need space. I let them know, and you may have that struggle because if with social anxiety for me, I also struggle to communicate with people, and I don't always know what to say. Like I feel genuinely uncomfortable when I have to go up and speak to a teacher in front of the class. I feel like I'm interrupting, and then I feel put on the spot, and I don't like it when I'm on the spot. It just feels really uncomfortable for me. But that's also because of the environment I'm in. Because I could say right now, I could go on YouTube and I'd be fine. So it just depends where you are, and I'm sure you can probably relate to that. Everybody kind of has it in a way, but for me, that's what I have to say about it. That's what I'm going through with it. So it's gotten better, but that's because of the fact I've taken time to actually go speak to people, and I've learned that I don't care about their opinions. They can think what they'd like. They can talk behind my back. It's not affecting me. I have friends who I know are my true friends because they don't talk behind my back. So if they didn't talk to you directly and they talk behind your back, they weren't your friends in the first place. Straightforward. And I will say one thing. If you have no respect for yourself and you're at school and people are talking trash about you, that is not a good situation to be in. Do not let them talk about trash. Do not let them talk trash about you because that will just make you 10 times more vulnerable. Get a teacher, somebody, and get help. Don't just like let them talk about you behind your back because that's not cool. Nobody wants that. Make sure you get an adult, get it sorted out, or just stand your ground and say, "Hey, I hear you talking trash. Stop it." And if that doesn't work, then I don't know. Just you'll have to figure something out because that is not fair to you. You are a beautiful, awesome, amazing person, and you deserve respect. Whether or not that's equal, whether or not they're younger, older, doesn't matter. You deserve respect no matter who you are. And don't let anyone tell you any different. And actually, speaking of which, part of our my idea of a good activity to do to make your day better and to help improve your mood is I say if you have money or anything like that, let's say you want to go get food tonight and you're like, "Hey, mom," or "Hey, dad, can we go out and get some ice cream?" or something like that. If you're able to get yourself some ice cream, you should do it. And like basically what I'm saying here is you should treat yourself. You should go out and get yourself something to make yourself feel better about yourself because you deserve it. That's the point. You deserve it. You deserve respect. You deserve to be identified as a person, and you deserve to have what you want as long as you've earned it. So just when you go out next, whatever situation, make sure you do that sometime. Because I know that when I treat myself or I get something like I got games for myself, and it wasn't even just for streaming. I got games for my own enjoyment, and I feel like when I get games for enjoyment, I genuinely boost my mood. And that's what I like about streaming because it improves my mood. I like having people enjoy my content because it shows that people are into the same things that I am. And I have people who I'm meeting, like GI, who just I get along with because I found out that like, hey, we have a lot in common. Or hey, you're pretty cool. We get along pretty good. And it's just kind of those things where you make friendship along the way. So you get to write your own path. I say, along with writing that path, you get to choose what you do next. And that's basically the lesson of this. So what I want you to what I want you to get out of this is one, get get in your, into the habit of letting your teacher know when you're feeling socially anxious. If you're feeling socially anxious, tell someone. Get out of the situation that you're feeling socially anxious in. And secondly, love yourself. Always love yourself. Do not let the mistakes you make define who you are. You are a better person than you believe. You should respect yourself and you should respect others because you don't know what's going on in other people's lives. Anyways, that concludes this episode of Daily Love with Mill Hollow, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Bye bye.